Well, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on whatever time that you might be watching this video. This is the Bishop, Dr. Sidney L. Gaines, and I'd like to welcome you to our leadership training entitled Time Management. Time management. And today we're on our second part of governing system governing system. We've been talking about values. This is the second part. Your values directly influence how you manage your time, life, and behavior. And that is the reason why we're going over this because it's so important. Jim Rohn said, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what? They have plans for you, and they're not much. When I read that, I'm telling you, that really caused me to really think. Hmm? If you don't have plans for your life governed by a value system, then you're not going to go far. And as I stated in my last lesson, it's not that we don't have values. Everyone has values. That's not the question. But here are some questions that we should answer. Number one, how is your value system working? Hmm? As I stated, everybody has values. We all have values. Where our values come from is from our training coming up as a child, our environment that we might live in, or simply some of them are just passed down. But the question is the values that we have, good or bad. Here's the question. How is your value system working? Another question. Are you getting what you want? Are your value system allowing you to get the things that you want out of life? Here's another question. Are you working to your full potential? The values that you are operating under, are they allowing you to work towards your full potential? And the last question, are you accomplishing what you set out to accomplish? Are you accomplishing? If any of those questions are no, or not sure, then maybe it's time to reevaluate your value system. Your value system. And that's what we've been talking about. Identifying what are your values? What are your priorities? Are the priorities or values that covers you, are they working for you? Are they getting you where you want to be or the things that you want to have? Hmm? So that's the reason why we chose to cover this. We're going to be talking about three different areas: governing value, value classification, and of course, the core value. Core value. Again, the governing value. I want to read something to you that was written by Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin employed a systematic three-step approach to planning, commencing with the identification of his core value. He began by discerning his personal values, subsequently prioritizing them, putting them in a priority order. After identifying what they are or reevaluating them, and then articulating each with clarity. While values and priority are often used interchangeably, as our values represent our primary priorities. Franklin's deliberate sequencing enabled him to allocate focus to aspects of his life most in need at any given moment. Prioritization did not imply that one value was inherently superior to another. Rather, it provided a structural framework to address the most pressing values first. Okay, are you getting that? It's not that one of your value is more important. They all are important, because remember, your governing value is what shapes you. They are what describes you. They are what people see. You know, the Bible say that a tree is known by the fruit it bears. Your values describe what type of person you are. So it's important to understand that value system, that value system. So to establish your governing values, which is the overall values, if you have not done it, might not be aware of it, it is essential to determine your highest priorities, making a list of what are your highest priorities. And as you see in my background here on the screen, I got a few of them. I say identify what your values are. Are you authentic? Okay, authenticity, beauty. Are you beautiful inside and out? Are you career-minded? Are you compassionate? Do you have courage? Are you courageous? Are you an educator? Are you fitness, mentally, emotionally, and of course, physically? Teamwork. Are you a team player? Relationships. Are you up on relationship? Do you value relationships? Gratitude. Are you grateful? Humorous. Do you have light with you, joy with you? Can you laugh? Or, lovable. Are you lovable? Loyalty. Are you loyal? Patience. Are you patient? Do you have patience? Respectful. Do you respect yourself as well as others? Spirituality. Are you a spiritual person? And of course, the last, just to name a few, forgiving. These are what you call values. Together, they are governing values. They are governing values. Now, what you have to do, if you have to clarify, as I stated, value classification, clarify what your statement is. What does each one mean? And I have a form that I'm going to pull up to show you what that, hold on a second, don't tell me I got rid of it. Okay, hold on. Okay, right. So here is the form, your values. You identify what your value is, okay? Out of those, if those that I have given you for example purposes, and maybe, going through them, looking at them, you might say, that's me. That's me. Or I would like to adopt that. Like I said, everyone has value. The question is, are the value you have good, or are the value you have bad? You might have to replace some of your values. You might have to add some. You might have to take some away. But whatever the case might be, whatever you come up with as your governing values, you want to place them here, what that value is, and then you want to clarify the statement. What does that value mean? Okay, authenticity. Authentic. What does that mean? What does that mean? Or as I stated earlier, well, I don't think I got to that part yet, but you want to clarify them, okay? So you might come up with about 10, 15 governing values. But the key is, the job is to identify what they are, clarify what they are, okay? It has everything to do with time. What time, as I had entitled this message, what time do you have? You know, I hear people say, I just don't have enough time in a day. Hmm? Well, there's 24 hours in a day. There are 8 hours, 8 hours to work, 8 hours to sleep, and 8 hours to play. If you're not getting the best out of those 8 hours, then you need to look at your value system. Your value system could be or need adjustment. So your values, again, directly influence how you manage your time. If you don't have enough time, look at your values. What are you valuing the most? Hmm? Your value system influence how you manage your time, your life. If you're not getting out of life what you want, look at your values. Look at your value system, okay? And of course, your business. If your business is your church, your nonprofit organization is not prospering, then look at the value system of your business or of your personal life. You will devote time to what matters most to you. Hmm? So again, your personal, what are your values? And now we're going to talk about core values. What are the core values? The core values, out of those set of values that we went down, your core, what are the values that describe you the most? What values of the core values that you will cross, as we talked about the last meeting, the last lesson, you will cross the I-beam for? Hmm? If I told you I give you $500 to walk from one building to the other on an I-beam, which is only 4 feet wide and maybe 48 feet long and sitting at 3,000 feet high, would $500 cause you to cross that I-beam? Probably not. How about if I said 1,000? Probably not. How about if I said $1 million? I give you $1 million to cross that I-beam. You might ponder it a little bit. But what if I told you your child is on the other side of that building crying, about to jump off the building? Will you cross that I-beam? Now, you know what has taken place right now? A higher priority. That's what we call your core. You got you got a lot of values, which is your governing, but which ones are your core? Which ones that you stands on, they're non-negotiable? Which one that you will cross the I-beam for? That's what you want to identify. Identify it for your personal, Remember, your values is what describe you as a person. So identify that core value. Okay, you might come up with about 3 or 4. Let's start off with just a few. Same way with the family. Okay, what is your core value for your family? Look at those governing value and pull out the core and place them under your family. What is the core value for your business or your nonprofit organization? Okay, remember your value, and I'm repeating it over because I want it to stick. Your values is what describe what type of business you have, what type of business you're running, what type of business you desire. Your core values determine your family, what your family look like, what you want for your family. Likewise with the personal and of course the community. So you want to place those values. Sit back, reevaluate, write those values down. I have so many people say, oh yeah, my values is in my head. No, no, no. The manual book say, write the vision and make it what? Make it plain. You have to make that plain, okay? So I want to jump back up real quickly, then I'll come right back down to the Franklin thing again. So Franklin said, to establish your governing values, it is essential to determine your highest priorities. For example, if spending time with family is paramount, okay, your key value would be what? Family. If consistently delivering quality work is a priority, in other words, it's important that you do everything in what? Excellence, then your value would be professionalism. Professionalism may emerge as a governing value. Similarly, if punctuality is a recurring goal, in other words, it's important to you to be on time, okay, to be on time. In fact, I always was taught that if you on time, you're late. You should be at least, wherever you're going to be, at least 15 minutes earlier. Say, why, Bishop? Because there could be some trouble. You know, there could be some adjustment. Maybe somebody else didn't show up and you might have to fill in. You need that few moments to get it together. Okay? So if you find yourself, you know, punctuality, I got to be on time, then one of your values, that value again is punctuality. Okay? So by identifying your priorities, you can derive the corresponding governing values. In other words, when you sit down and take time and say, okay, who am I? Who am I? And I often tell people, if you having a problem identifying who you are, then think about your parents. Okay? Think about your mom and your dad. What are the things that you like about them and what are the things you don't like about them? Because you are a part of that product, okay? And so that's a good way. Or ask somebody, ask your spouse, you know, who do you see me as? And believe me, generally, if they love you, they're going to tell you the truth. I often say, if you ask the children, they definitely going to tell you the truth, all right? So it's important that you take time out to discover who you really are. Who are you? And what describes you is your values. Your values. All right? So you need to definitely do that. You can derive the corresponding governing values. A selection of samples governing values is provided. On the back of the wall, I've given you a sample. Go through each one of them. Ask yourself, is this me? Is this me? Or is this who I want to be? Okay? Or is this, you know, something that I should adopt? Okay? Remember, everyone has values. That's not the question. The question is, are the values that you're operating under, are they working for you? Are they getting you what you want? Are they good values or are they bad values? That is the question that you're going to have to spend time and you're going to have to answer. You're going to have to answer that, okay? All right, so to finish this part out, it says another one, for one person, or being honest and trustworthy in all dealings. Okay, are you honest? Okay, or are you deceitful? Okay, are you trustworthy? Or are you conniving? Perpetrating a fraud? All right. For another, clearly defining your values ensures they hold personal significance. That's why you want to clarify them. When drafting clarifying statements, employ affirmative language such as I am, I do, or I will. All right? So we went through how you should clarify them, right? Your value, clarifying I am, I will, I do, and then describe it. What is it that you are? What is it that you will, and what is it that you will do? Okay? All right, so we're coming on down. Okay, again, you want to place them, your core values, okay? Take your core, the first 3 or 4, and place them under personal, family, business, nonprofit, or community. All right. How values, priorities, and time management are conducted. If you consistently feel like there aren't enough hours in the day to get everything accomplished on your to-do list, then you need to set aside time in your schedule to examine your values and your priorities. Okay, as we stated earlier, if you're not finding enough time in the day to get your work done, to get sleep, to have fun, enjoy life, then you need to look at your value system. You might got some values that needs to be replaced. You might got some value that needs clarifying. Okay? This is where you start at. And then make them your priority. Make them your priority. Work on them. Okay? My next lesson is going to be on the 21, Operation 21. How do you develop some new habits, okay, in your values? We'll talk about that next on the next lesson. So although it may not always seem like it, you're in control of how you spend or waste your time. Yeah. You can't expect to overhaul it overnight. In other words, it's not going to happen overnight, but you got to begin. You got to start. The pathway to becoming truly productive involves tracking your time. All right. Looking at them 3 areas. All right. Tracking them. And then looking at your value system. Because it's your value system that's going to give you the time to help you to be productive in your work. Because you don't want to be busy. You can be 8 hours being busy. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. You want to be productive. Well, take a look at your value system. All right? Take a look at your value system. The other 8 hours is, of course, enjoying life. If you're not enjoying life, then you need to take a look, you need to take a look at your value system. Why are you not getting the enjoyment out of life? Maybe perhaps your values, some of them might be stopping you, blocking you, or you might not have a clear understanding of your value. Okay? And then, of course, the last one is rest. 8 hours of sleep. If you're not getting 8 hours, it's probably because your value system is off. All right? So, dear hearts, I hope and pray this is all that I want to give you for today for our second part. On our next go round, we'll do the third part, and that part will be the 21, Operation 21, helping us to get our value system right so that our time can be spent productively. We can get what we need out. We can get the rest that we need, and we can enjoy life. Amen. I hope and pray that this has been a help to you, or at least stirred something up to put you on the track to focus, to get focused so that we can get done. God bless you. I'll be talking to you again on the next go round. Take care.